does it feel to have been vulnerable like that in a room of 24,000 people and I don't know how many millions of people watching at home?
It feels human, I think. I think being an athlete, people kind of disregard that side of us, the human side of things. And, people say so many things like, number 3 in the world and you're doing this or you're playing like this and you should be better and things like that. But like at the end of the day, like I feel like I've already, if I stopped and didn't pick up a racket tomorrow, I've have a career that so many people would dream of. But I think I just showed people what it's like to be a human, and I have bad days, but I think it's more about how you get up after those bad moments and how you show up after that. And I think today I showed that I can get up after feeling the worst I've ever felt on the court.
Coco Gauff just flipped the sports world upside down. After one Fox Sports host decided to run his mouth on live TV, she hit back, not with a tweet, not with an interview, but with a $50 million lawsuit. Yeah, that's $50 million. Question for you. Do you think Coco went too far? Or did Fox finally get what it deserved? This isn't your usual sports beef. We're talking about one of the biggest names in tennis calling out one of the loudest voices on TV, and doing it in the most brutal, calculated way possible. Let's rewind. Everything started on what should have been a normal broadcast before the Miami Open. Fox Sports was doing its regular tennis coverage when one of its hosts decided to get bold. And by bold, I mean reckless. Instead of doing what commentators are paid to do, analyze the game, this guy turned it into a personal takedown of Coco Gauff. He questioned her maturity, her attitude, and even said her wins were more hype than skill. Yes, that's a real quote. And the worst part? He said it live. No edits, no second thoughts, just straight up disrespect on national television. Now, Coco Gauff isn't new to criticism. She's heard it all before. Too young, too emotional, too overhyped. But this one hit different, because this wasn't sports analysis. This was an attempt to publicly humiliate a 19-year-old who's already accomplished more than most athletes dream of.
Matt.
Well done, Coco. After everything that happened on Thursday night, did you wake up feeling a little differently yesterday?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I just realized that I don't want that moment to happen again, like on court for sure. And yeah, I'm not someone who I don't want to show I guess weakness in moments, but after the match, I was thinking maybe it's not a weakness, it's just showing the things that happen in my head and not keeping it inside to the point where I can't play. But I felt with a new perspective, seeing how the support I've gotten since that moment, just seeing how proud of people are of me regardless of how I do here. So today I felt a lot lighter going on court, and I hope to continue feeling that lightweight for the rest of the time here.
So what happened next? The internet exploded. Within minutes, #DefendCoco and #RespectTheGame started trending. Fans were furious. Even other athletes, Serena Williams, Naomi Osaka, and a bunch of WTA players, spoke up in her defense. And honestly, that tells you everything you need to know. Because when other players start publicly calling out a TV network for being out of line, it means the line wasn't just crossed, it was burned. But here's where Coco showed everyone how real professionals handle things. She didn't jump online. She didn't rant. She didn't post an emotional video. She stayed silent, at least for a while. Because while everyone else was debating what she should do, Coco was already planning her next move. And it wasn't an apology tour or a PR stunt. It was a lawsuit. That's right. Coco Gauff and her legal team started reviewing the broadcast. Every clip, every sentence, and every single reaction that followed. And when the papers finally dropped, it sent shockwaves through the sports world. Coco Gauff officially filed a $50 million lawsuit against Fox Sports and the host, accusing them of defamation, emotional distress, and professional harm. It wasn't about the money, it was about respect. Because let's be honest, $50 million isn't pocket change. But the point wasn't the dollar amount. The point was the message. You don't get to tear down athletes for ratings and walk away like it's nothing. This lawsuit made it clear. Athletes aren't easy targets anymore. Legal experts were quick to weigh in. One civil attorney said, "This isn't just about damages. It's about accountability. You can't attack someone's character on national television and expect zero fallout." And she's right, because Coco's reputation isn't just personal, it's professional. Her image is her business. She's got sponsorships with major brands, millions of fans worldwide, and a spotless public record. When a TV host implies her success is manufactured, that's not just an insult, it's a hit on her career. That kind of statement can hurt endorsements, tournament invitations, even sponsorship renewals. So Coco's team went after them hard. They laid out every legal claim like a playbook. Defamation. The statements were false, misleading, and intentionally damaging. Emotional distress. The tone wasn't critique. It was humiliation. Professional harm. By questioning her legitimacy, Fox risked her income and partnerships. That's not commentary, that's sabotage. And the way Coco handled it? Pure class.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to be positive. I mean, after the match, I definitely was struggling in the locker room. I don't like losing, and yeah, I think for me, the main thing, I'm sure my team and everyone's gonna tell me, like, you know, you did well at Rolling Girls, so I'm like.
When she finally spoke publicly, it wasn't angry. It wasn't defensive. It was calm, confident, and perfectly worded. I've always let my game speak for itself. When false stories are spread, they not only hurt me, but they disrespect every athlete who works hard for what they achieve. This is about fairness, not fame boom. No yelling, no drama, just straight facts. And fans loved it. Thousands flooded her post with comments calling her a queen, a leader, and a role model. Even analysts, people who usually criticize everyone, had to admit she handled it perfectly. One ESPN host said, "Coco Gauff just redefined athlete accountability. She's teaching the media that players aren't props." And she's right, because this lawsuit isn't just about Coco versus Fox. It's about how athletes, especially women, are treated in the media. For decades, commentators have crossed the line, turning fair analysis into personal attacks. They've mocked appearance, emotions, relationships, things that have nothing to do with sports. And for years, athletes just had to take it, smile through it, move on. But not anymore. Coco's saying, "You can criticize my serve, not my character." And that's a boundary more athletes should set. Of course, Fox Sports didn't take this quietly. Their PR team immediately jumped into action, releasing one of those cookie-cutter statements. "We respect Coco Gauff as an athlete and wish her continued success." The comments made were purely opinion and not intended as personal attacks. Translation: "We messed up, but please don't sue us." Too late. The lawsuit is moving forward, and legal insiders say Coco has a strong case. Because in defamation law, intent matters. And in this case, the tone was obvious. Even neutral observers could tell the comments weren't just criticism. They were meant to embarrass her. That's where Fox crossed the line from free speech into, "You just cost yourself $50 million. And honestly, it's about time. Because for too long, TV hosts have acted like athletes are fair game for insults just because they're public figures. But being famous doesn't mean being defenseless. Coco's move proves that the new generation of athletes isn't afraid to fight back, and they'll use every tool available, including the legal system. This moment might go down in history as the turning point where athletes stopped being easy targets for shock value television. Now let's talk about what happened after the lawsuit hit the headlines. The same host who once bragged about telling it like it is suddenly went quiet. No tweets, no statements, no smug rants. Just complete silence. The kind of silence that usually follows a call from a lawyer. Fox Sports, meanwhile, went into full panic mode. Because this wasn't just a PR problem, it was a legal nightmare. You can apologize for bad analysis, but you can't walk back defamation. Not when it's recorded, broadcast, and clipped 1,000 times across social media. Within hours, the clip vanished from Fox's website. Their editors quietly removed it from replays, pretending it never happened. But the internet never forgets. Fans had already saved it, reposted it, and turned it into one of the most viewed sports clips of the year. And here's the kicker. Coco didn't even need to defend herself. The public did it for her. People called out the hypocrisy, saying the same network that celebrates free speech suddenly couldn't handle accountability. Commentators from rival networks even piled on, mocking Fox for turning a tennis discussion into a lawsuit headline. One journalist summed it up best. If you can't talk about an athlete without trashing their character, maybe you shouldn't have a mic. Exactly. And the longer this dragged on, the worse it got for Fox. Because legal experts started breaking down the actual case, and they all said the same thing. Coco has receipts, and she's right. One media lawyer even said, the line between criticism and defamation is clear. Once you imply someone's success is fake or undeserved, you're attacking their reputation, not their performance. In other words, Fox didn't just cross the line, they sprinted past it. Now here's where things got even more awkward. Major sponsors started calling, not to drop Coco, to support her. Nike, New Balance, and a few big tech companies publicly praised her for standing up for herself. That's when the power dynamic flipped. Coco wasn't just an athlete anymore. She was the face of athlete empowerment. A 19-year-old woman holding one of the biggest media corporations in the world, accountable for its words. Think about how wild that is. Most athletes would have just let their PR teams handle it, issued a generic statement, and moved on. Coco? She filed a lawsuit with her name on it and made it public. And it worked. Because the lawsuit didn't just make headlines, it changed the conversation. Sports networks across the country started quietly reevaluating their commentary policies. Producers sent out memos about tone and respectful dialogue. Hosts suddenly got very careful about what they said about young athletes. One network insider joked, "Everyone's terrified of pulling a Fox moment." Even sports fans who usually don't care about lawsuits were impressed. Because deep down, everyone's seen this pattern. A young athlete succeeds, and instead of celebrating her, the media tears her down. They question her personality, her attitude, her worthiness, basically everything except her actual talent. And Coco said, enough. She didn't rant online, she didn't go on talk shows, she took action. That's why this hit so hard. Because her response wasn't emotional, it was strategic. That's something you can't argue with. Behind the scenes, legal sources say Fox's lawyers immediately tried to negotiate. They reportedly offered to settle privately, but Coco's team wasn't interested, at least not yet. They wanted the public to see this play out. Because this wasn't just about winning money, it was about setting a precedent. If she wins, it sends a clear message to every sports network. You can criticize performance, but not identity. You can analyze stats, but not destroy reputations. Even seasoned journalists admitted this case could reshape sports media. Because if networks start losing lawsuits like this, their entire shock value model collapses. And honestly, that's a good thing. Maybe it's time we stop rewarding loud and start rewarding accurate. As the story unfolded, Coco kept doing what she does best, winning. She showed up to tournaments, smiled for fans, and played some of her best tennis of the season. Every victory felt like another reminder. You can't tear down someone who's built on discipline and confidence, and that's what drives the message home. She's not angry, she's focused. The more Fox tried to repair the damage, the more the public sided with Coco. Because let's face it, people love an underdog story, but they love a comeback even more. By standing up for herself, Coco Gauff didn't just defend her name, she became a symbol for every athlete who's ever been disrespected on live TV. This wasn't about ego, it was about fairness. Even the WTA released a statement supporting her right to protect her reputation. They emphasized mental well-being and respectful reporting. Basically, a polite way of saying, media, stop acting like bullies. And here's the beautiful irony, that Fox host who once called Coco overhyped, he just helped her become more powerful than ever. Because the lawsuit turned her from a tennis champion into a global icon of athlete empowerment. Sponsors doubled down, fans rallied, and every network that ignored her before now wants her on their broadcasts. Fox might have tried to humiliate her, But they ended up giving her the biggest PR win of her career. Now, the case is still ongoing, but legal insiders say Coco's chances are strong. Even if it settles out of court, the message is already loud and clear. You can't mess with athletes like it's 1999. Not in the age of social media receipts and instant accountability. Coco Gauff showed that the modern athlete isn't powerless. She's smart, strategic, and unafraid to protect her worth. And honestly, that's what separates stars from legends. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just a lawsuit, it's a turning point in sports culture. Coco didn't just serve justice, she served notice. So, what do you think? Did Coco Gauff do the right thing by suing for $50 million? Or should she have just let it go? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you think athletes deserve respect both on and off the court, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell. Because this story isn't over yet.